stay off the roads.
Breaking now at 6, Hurricane Ian making landfall on the Florida Gulf Coast, one of the strongest on record. The intense flooding, the damage, and the danger is far from over. That is where we start tonight at 6. I'm Natalie Pascarella.
And I'm David Ushery. Chuck has the night off. A long night ahead for people living in Florida.
After making landfall, that storm moving inland, leaving a path of devastation. This historic flooding happening right now. This live look here at the Skyway Bridge. Of course, it is closed. It connects St. Petersburg to Bradenton. Very windy here, ranging 50 to 60 miles per hour. That storm made landfall less than 3 hours ago, just west of Fort Myers. Some people, we understand, trapped in their attics. Too dangerous right now for crews to help them, Dave.
The governor of Florida briefing right now, but as we understand it, power outages have topped 1 million. That number expected to grow. The storm now the 5th strongest on record. Today, President Biden promised the full support of the federal government to Florida. We've got team coverage. Janice Huff tracking where Ian is right now. But we want to get right to News 4's Mark Santia, who is in Tampa with the conditions there. Mark.
David, residents here in Tampa preparing for a very long evening. Again, the wind really picking up, so is the rain. But what we've noticed is we've noticed a lot of ponding on the roads here around Tampa. Some floodwaters, water starting to rise, and that is the concern, David and Natalie. From Tampa to Orlando, it's flooding. Hurricane Ian thrashing Florida's Gulf Coast, the storm surge washing out beach communities. Firefighters in Naples pushing a fire truck out of Ladder Company 1 in waist-deep water, the chief explaining why.
It seemed like the truck was going to catch on fire. It was smoking, and we didn't want the station to burn down.
Time-lapse video shows the Gulf inundating Sanibel Island in less than an hour. The storm packing winds of 155 miles per hour, making landfall late this afternoon. Violent winds taking down power lines and poles here in Naples. Statewide, power is out to more than 800,000 people. In Tampa, Ian's winds having an opposite effect, actually pushing water out of Hillsborough Bay. Right now, we're in Ellenton, which is south of Tampa, just north of Bradenton, and you can see there's a handful of folks out on the streets, but for the most part, the roads are clear as Ian really starts to ramp up here.
We are standing in a bank, or actually an old bank. This is where my job is, which is Sand Hill Insurance Agency. And my company was actually kind enough to let me stay here and wait out the storm.
Pat Panarelli and her mom are riding out the storm in what used to be a bank.
We could cook if we had to. We have a microwave. But if we lose the power, peanut butter and jelly.
The two are hunkering down with their cat Holly instead of their home in Bradenton.
It kind of scared me, and my house is very, very old and wooden, so I didn't want to take that chance.
I'm not driving on the interstate or any other road knowing how large that storm is. I'm not taking a chance in putting her life at risk or myself. So we're staying put until this crazy little Ian disappears.
Back here live, you're taking a look at Gandy Boulevard. You can see the traffic lights are out. We've seen similar situations around Tampa and around, again, the state. Thousands of people without power right now. Again, one of the biggest concerns, flooding. We're going to keep our eye on that throughout the evening. But again, many people sort of preparing for the evening as Ian ramps up here in Tampa. We're live in Tampa. Mark Santia, News 4 New York.
Yeah, Mark, that wind really whipping out there. We thank you for the latest live there. We want you to take a look at this video just posted within the past hour here. You see Ian making landfall, all the lightning that comes along with it. So where's Ian heading next? We have to get over to Storm Team 4's Janice Huff.
So far, Ian has come in 5th place, tying with several other storms like Ida and Charlie for the most powerful landfalls in the United States by wind speed, 150 miles per hour when it made landfall on the west coast of Florida today. And like I said, that's a tie with several other storms. The Labor Day storm of 1935 was the strongest by wind speed, 185 miles per hour. Notice that 4 of the top 5 storms were all landfalls in Florida, including Andrew. All right. right now, still at Category 4 and winds at 130 miles per hour. We're expecting the weakening to begin now, but slowly. Now we're seeing also increased rainfall for Central Florida and more flash flood warnings. This one is expansive now, all the way up towards Sebring in Central Florida. A flash flood warning is in effect at this hour. Still between Sarasota, Inglewood, Venice, and Port Charlotte, we have this one in effect until 7:15. We're going to see multiple flash flood warnings for the next 24 to 48 hours across Florida, even Georgia and the Carolinas. Estimated rainfall has been upwards of like 16 inches in some areas. Lehigh Acres coming in with an actual total of 14.17 inches, just over 8.5 inches in Ding Darling. Punta Gorda over 7 inches of rain, in Sanibel with 6.87 inches. And the rain will continue as the storm slowly trudges across the central part of the state towards Daytona Beach. Yes, more than a foot, maybe upwards of 2 feet of rain for some areas. Now, we are tracking the storm a little bit into the Carolinas too. That will happen over the weekend. How much rain might we get from the storm? I'll talk about that coming up in a few minutes. Back to you.
Janice, thanks. We will see you real soon. And we're also monitoring Ian's aftermath in Cuba. One day after the hurricane just slammed the western tip of the island, the entire country still without power right now. Cuba's electric grid collapsed yesterday, hours after that storm made landfall. Officials say restoring electricity will be a slow process. Ian also damaged some of Cuba's most important tobacco farms. And you saw Mark Santia out there. He's watching these changing conditions all night from Tampa. We'll have live updates from him on News 4 at 7 and on News 4 New York at 11. Lester Holt is reporting inside the storm zone right now in Bradenton, Florida. That community, one of several in the storm's path. That is coming up on NBC Nightly News at 6:30. Dave.